Shalom, my friend. Listen to me carefully. What I'm about to reveal will explain a pattern in your life that has confused you for years. A pattern so bizarre, so mathematically impossible, that you've probably stopped talking about it because people think you're exaggerating. You make money, good money, sometimes more than your neighbors, more than your relatives, but somehow, within days, sometimes within hours, something happens. An emergency, a crisis, a bill you forgot, a breakdown, a betrayal, and the money vanishes. Not slowly, not gradually, instantly. You've tried budgeting, you've tried saving, you've tried working harder, working smarter, changing jobs, changing cities. Nothing works. The pattern continues. It's like there's an invisible ceiling between you and lasting wealth. You can touch it, you can see through it, but you cannot break through it. Let me tell you what this is. You are not cursed by bad luck. You are not suffering from poor money management. You are not the victim of economic injustice. You are hosting a spiritual predator, and you have been feeding it every single day. The ancient mystics, the sages who studied the hidden laws of reality for thousands of years, they knew about this. They mapped it, they named it, they warned us. But somewhere between their generation and ours, we forgot. We stopped believing in invisible forces. We started thinking that poverty is just about not having enough money. That is the lie that keeps you trapped. Because poverty is not an absence. It is a presence. It is not empty space. It is occupied territory. And the occupier is feeding on you right now as you watch this. In the Talmud, the sages speak of spiritual forces that attach themselves to human beings like parasites attached to hosts. These are not metaphors. These are not symbols. These are descriptions of actual, non-physical entities that exist in frequencies we cannot see but can absolutely feel. One of the most vicious of these forces targets your material life. It doesn't want you dead. It wants you alive but struggling. It wants you productive but never prosperous. It wants you earning but never accumulating. Why? Because you are its food source. Think about a leech. It doesn't kill the host immediately. It keeps the host alive so it can continue draining blood. But if left unchecked, eventually the host becomes so weak that it can barely function. The host is alive, yes, but barely. Survival without thriving. That's what's happening to you financially. This entity, this spiritual leech, has latched onto your life, and every time you generate wealth, it triggers a crisis to drain you. Not because you're cursed, not because God hates you, but because you have been unknowingly inviting it to stay. You see, these forces operate by law, spiritual law. Just like gravity is a law in the physical world, there are laws in the spiritual realm. And one of those laws is this: low-frequency emotions are invitations. They are open doors. They are dinner bells. When you complain, you ring the bell. When you speak words of lack, you set the table. When you feel bitterness toward those who have more, you serve the meal. When you panic about the future, you pour the wine. And the leech drinks. Most people don't realize this because the connection is not immediate. You complain on Monday, the bill comes on Thursday. You don't connect them, but the entity does. It hears every word, it feels every emotion, and it responds by creating circumstances that drain you. This is why your pattern is so bizarre. This is why nothing you do seems to work, because you're trying to solve a spiritual problem with physical solutions. You're trying to stop a leech by earning more blood. It doesn't work that way. Let me be very clear about what I'm saying. I'm not saying you just need to think positive. I'm not saying you need to visualize abundance and wait for the universe to deliver. I am saying that you are in an active, spiritual battle, and you don't even know you're fighting. And the reason you don't know is because the enemy has convinced you that it doesn't exist. That's the perfect strategy, isn't it? If you don't believe in the predator, you won't defend yourself. You'll just keep wondering why you're always tired, always broke, always one step away from breakthrough, but never quite there. I need you to understand something. The mystics who studied this spent their entire lives mapping the invisible architecture of reality. They weren't guessing, they were observing, they were documenting. And what they found is this: your inner world creates your outer world not through magic, but through frequency. Everything is vibration. Your thoughts vibrate. Your words vibrate. Your emotions vibrate. And just like a radio station broadcasts on a specific frequency, you are broadcasting a signal right now, and whatever matches that signal will respond. If you broadcast fear, you attract fear. If you broadcast lack, you attract lack. If you broadcast resentment, you attract loss, not because the universe is punishing you, but because spiritual entities that feed on those emotions will come running. They are drawn to it the way sharks are drawn to blood in water, and once they attach, they don't just wait passively. They actively work to keep you in the state that feeds them. They influence circumstances. They whisper thoughts. They magnify small problems into catastrophes. They create delays, cancellations, betrayals, accidents, whatever it takes to drain you and keep you producing the emotional frequency they need. This is not theory. This is how it works. Now I know what you're thinking. Rabbi, are you saying that all my financial problems are because of some invisible demon? No. I'm saying that your financial problems have a root cause, and that root is not lack of money. The root is the frequency you're emitting, and that frequency has attracted a force that perpetuates the cycle. Some people break the cycle by accident. They go through a crisis so severe that it shocks them into gratitude, or they meet someone who shifts their perspective completely, or they have a spiritual awakening that changes their inner frequency overnight, and suddenly, mysteriously, their financial situation transforms, not because they got more money, but because the leech detached. But most people never experience that. Most people stay trapped for their entire lives. They die with talent unused, potential unfulfilled, and a legacy of struggle that their children inherit. And here's the worst part. They blame themselves. They think it's their fault. They think they're not smart enough, not disciplined enough, not worthy enough. They internalize the lie. But it's not your fault that the leech attached. These forces are opportunistic. They look for openings. And in a world designed to generate stress, fear, and comparison, there are openings everywhere. What is your fault is this. Once you know it's there, you are responsible for removing it. Right now, in this moment, you are being given knowledge that most people will never receive. Knowledge that has been hidden in ancient texts for thousands of years. Knowledge that explains the inexplicable pattern in your life. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you dismiss it? Will you say, this is too strange, too supernatural, I don't believe in these things? Because if you do, the leech stays, and the cycle continues. And 5 years from now, you'll still be watching videos trying to figure out why you can't get ahead. Or will you take this seriously? Will you recognize that your life has been trying to tell you something? That the bizarre repetition of your financial pattern is not random but designed, that there is an intelligence behind it, and that intelligence is not on your side. I'm going to give you a protocol, a 3-step spiritual warfare protocol that has been used for generations to banish these forces permanently. But before I do, I need you to do something. I need you to stop lying to yourself, stop pretending that your financial struggle is normal, stop accepting it as just how life is, stop blaming the economy, your boss, your spouse, your past. Stop making excuses. Name the pattern. Out loud, right now. Say it in the comments. I make money and it disappears. Or, I work hard, but I never accumulate. Or, every time I get ahead, something crashes. Whatever your specific pattern is, name it. Write it down. Because the first step in spiritual warfare is breaking denial. You cannot fight what you refuse to see. And this leech has survived in your life because you keep pretending it's not there. I'm telling you it's there. The sages told you it's there. Your own life is screaming that it's there, so name it. And once you name it, I'm going to show you how to starve it, how to cut off its food supply, how to make your inner world so inhospitable that the leech has no choice but to detach and leave. This is not a quick fix. This is a 21-day campaign, and the first 7 days will be war. The entity will fight back. It will create chaos. It will amplify fear. It will test you in ways you've never been tested. But if you hold the line, if you execute the protocol with military precision, by day 21 the leech will be gone. And for the first time in your life, you will earn money and keep it. You will build wealth, and it will stay. You will finally experience what it feels like to be free. Are you ready? The reason most people never escape this pattern is because they're looking in the wrong place for the solution. They think the problem is external. Not enough clients, not enough opportunities, not enough education, not enough capital. So they chase external fixes. They change jobs. They take courses. They network. They hustle harder. And none of it works. Because the problem is not out there. It's in here. Let me tell you about Sarah. She ran a marketing agency. 7 employees, good clients. Revenue was strong. On paper, she should have been financially secure. But every single quarter, without fail, something catastrophic would happen. One quarter, her biggest client suddenly went bankrupt and couldn't pay the invoice, $40,000 gone. Next quarter, 2 key employees quit on the same day, forcing her to pay premium rates for emergency replacements. The quarter after that, a lawsuit from a former contractor she thought was resolved came back and drained her savings. It wasn't bad luck, it was a pattern. The timing was too perfect. Every time she built up a reserve, something would consume it within weeks. She came to me exhausted. "Rabbi, I'm doing everything right. I'm working 70 hours a week, my team is excellent, my clients love us. But I can't get ahead. It's like the universe is against me." I asked her one question. "When you close a big deal, what's the first thing you think?" She paused. Then she said, "I think, okay, this will cover us for a few months, but what happens after that? What if the next client doesn't close? What if this falls apart?" There it was. Every single time she generated wealth, her first response was fear, not gratitude, not celebration. Fear, worry, anxiety about the future. And she would speak it. She would text her business partner, "Great news, but we need to be careful." She would tell her spouse, "Don't get too excited. We've been here before." She thought she was being prudent. She thought she was being realistic. She didn't realize she was feeding the leech, because here's what happens. The moment she earns the money, she emits a signal of fear and lack. That signal resonates with the entity. The entity responds by creating a circumstance that matches the frequency. Loss, crisis, drain. Not as punishment, as synchronization. She was calling it in, every single time. When I explained this to her, she got angry. "So you're saying this is my fault? That I'm causing my own disasters?" "That's insane," I said. "It's not your fault that you don't know how this works, but now that you do, it's your responsibility to change it. And yes, you are co-creating this. Not consciously, but energetically." She didn't want to hear it, most people don't, because it's easier to be a victim of circumstance than to accept that you've been unconsciously partnering with a force that's draining you. But 3 weeks later, she came back. "I tried what you said. For 21 days, every time I made money, I forced myself to say a blessing instead of worrying. I thanked God out loud. I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for. I refused to speak fear, even when my mind was screaming it. And Rabbi, it stopped." What stopped? The disasters. It's been 2 months. No catastrophe. No sudden loss. The money is staying. For the first time in 5 years, we have an actual reserve. I don't understand how this is possible. I do. The leech detached because she stopped feeding it. Now let me tell you about Marcus. He was a salesman. Good at his job, made decent commissions, but he could never keep the money. Every month, like clockwork, something would break. Car transmission, roof leak, medical bill. It was never the same thing twice, but the result was always the same. Whatever he earned got consumed. He blamed the world. He blamed his landlord for raising rent. He blamed his ex-wife for alimony. He blamed his company for not giving him better leads. He blamed the economy, the government, the system, everyone and everything except himself. One day, after another unlucky month where a fender bender drained his commission check, I asked him, "How much time do you spend every day complaining?" He looked at me confused. "I don't complain, I just talk about what's happening. Walk me through your morning." I wake up, check my phone, see the news, usually something depressing. I get coffee and talk to my neighbor about how expensive everything is. I drive to work listening to a podcast about how the economy is rigged. I get to the office and joke with my co-workers about how we're all underpaid. I call clients and try to sell them, but honestly, I don't even believe in the product anymore. At night, I come home and vent to my girlfriend about my day. I said, "You spend 80% of your waking hours broadcasting lack, resentment, and victimhood, and you wonder why you can't accumulate wealth." He got defensive. "So, I'm supposed to pretend everything is great when it's not. I'm supposed to lie. No, you're supposed to stop poisoning yourself. Every word you speak, every thought you dwell on is creating a frequency, and that frequency is an invitation. You're not just complaining, you're summoning." He didn't believe me, but I gave him a challenge. For 3 weeks, don't complain, not once, not out loud, not in your head. When something bad happens, acknowledge it neutrally and move on. When something good happens, speak gratitude immediately. If you catch yourself starting to complain, stop mid-sentence and say a blessing instead. That's impossible. Then you'll stay broke. He tried. The first week was torture. He said he felt like he was losing his mind. Every instinct in his body wanted to vent, to blame, to explain why things weren't fair, but he held the line. By the second week, something shifted. A client he thought was dead called him back and closed a deal, bigger than usual. A friend paid back. An old debt he'd written off. His car, which had been on the verge of breaking down, suddenly ran fine. By the third week, he called me. "I don't know what's happening, but it's working. I just had my best month in 2 years, and nothing broke. Nothing went wrong. I actually have money left over." What changed? His skill? No. His territory? No. His frequency? Yes. The leech detached because he stopped feeding it. Do you see the pattern now? These are not isolated incidents. This is how the system works. Your inner world dictates your outer world, not through magic, through frequency, through spiritual law. And the law is this: whatever you feed will grow. Whatever you starve will shrink. If you feed fear, you attract fear. If you feed resentment, you attract loss. If you feed gratitude, you attract increase. If you feed blessing, you attract protection. This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual warfare. Because there are forces in the unseen realm that are actively listening to you. They are waiting for you to emit the signal that matches their nature. And when you do, they move toward you. The entity that causes your financial pattern is one of those forces. It is drawn to specific frequencies: complaint, envy, panic, bitterness, entitlement. These are its food, and every time you emit them, you feed it. And every time you feed it, it grows stronger. And the stronger it grows, the more chaos it can create in your life to generate more of the emotions it needs. It's a cycle, a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle, and you are the one keeping it alive. Not because you're evil, not because you're cursed, but because you didn't know. You didn't realize that words carry weight in the spiritual realm. You didn't realize that emotions are invitations. You didn't realize that complaining is not harmless venting, it's collaboration with a predator. But now you know, and knowing changes everything, because now the responsibility shifts. Now you can't claim ignorance. Now you have to choose. Will you continue feeding the leech? Will you keep complaining, keep worrying, keep speaking lack, or will you cut off the supply? I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. The protocol is simple, not easy, but simple. 3 steps, 21 days, military discipline. But before I give you the steps, I need you to understand what you're about to face. When you stop feeding the leech, it will fight back. It doesn't want to leave. You are its best food. Source? It has been feeding on you for years, maybe decades. It knows your weaknesses, it knows your triggers, and it will use everything it has to make you break the fast. The first week will be chaos. You'll have thoughts you've never had before. Doubts, fear, rage. You'll want to quit. You'll want to complain. You'll feel like you're being attacked from all sides. That's because you are. The entity is starving, and starving creatures become vicious. But if you hold the line, if you refuse to, feed it no matter what, it will weaken. By the second week, the attacks will lessen. By the third week, you'll feel a shift, a lightness, a clarity, and by day 21, it will be gone. Not because you banished it with a spell, but because you made your inner world uninhabitable for it. You starved it, and when a parasite can't feed, it detaches and moves on to find another host. That's the goal, not to fight it directly, but to become so inhospitable that it has no choice but to leave. Are you ready? For the protocol, here's what you're going to do, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Step 1, identify the food. Sit down with a piece of paper. I want you to write down every single way you have been feeding this entity over the past month. Be ruthlessly honest, don't sugarcoat it, don't minimize it. What do you complain about most? Money, your job, your spouse, the government, other people's success? What do you say when something good happens? Do you immediately follow it with "but"? Do you worry it won't last? Do you downplay it? What do you think about before you fall asleep? Are you replaying arguments, planning revenge, catastrophizing about the future? What words do you use most often? I can't afford that. It's not fair. Why does this always happen to me? I'm so tired of struggling. Write it all down, because what you're looking at is the menu. That's what you've been serving the leech every single day. And today, you stop. Step 2, the 21-day spiritual fast for the E. Next 21 days, you are going to fast from every single thing on that list. Not reduce it, not moderate it, eliminate it. No complaining, not out loud, not in your head. When a complaint arises, and it will, you immediately interrupt it. mid-thought, mid-sentence, and you replace it with a statement of truth or gratitude. Example, you're stuck in traffic. Your first instinct is, "This is ridiculous. I'm going to be late. Why is this happening?" Stop, right there. Out loud say, "I'm grateful I have a car. I'm grateful I have a job to get to. This delay is not my enemy." It will feel fake at first. That's fine. Do it anyway. You're not trying to feel it. You're trying to break the pattern. No speaking of lack, not even subtle lack. "I wish I could afford that" becomes, "I'm currently building toward that." "I can't do that" becomes, "I'm not choosing that right now." No envy. When you see someone with more than you don't resent them. You bless them. Out loud. May they continue to prosper. May their success inspire others. Say it even if you don't feel it, especially if you don't feel it. No panic about the future. Every time fear about money arises, you immediately counter it with a declaration of trust. God has provided for me until now. He will provide for me tomorrow. I am not alone in this. This is not a mind game. This is a fast. And just like fasting from food trains your body, fasting from toxic frequency trains your spirit. The leech feeds on these specific emissions. When you stop producing them, it starves. Step 3. Active replacement. Cutting off the food is not enough. You have to replace it with something that repels the entity. Every day, 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, night, you will speak blessings, out loud, over your life, your finances, your future. It doesn't have to be long, 2 or 3 sentences, but it has to be intentional. Morning. I thank God for the breath in my lungs and the strength in my body. I declare that I am a channel for blessing, and that provision flows to me easily and naturally. Afternoon. I bless my work. I bless the people I serve. I bless the resources that are coming toward me right now, seen and unseen. Night. I am grateful for what I have. I release all fear about tomorrow. I sleep in peace knowing I am divinely guided and protected. You're not trying to manifest money. You're trying to shift frequency. You're creating an environment where the leech cannot survive. High frequency. Emotions, gratitude, blessing, trust, generosity. These repel low-frequency entities, the way light repels darkness. Bonus step. Increase your giving. This one is optional, but powerful. During these 21 days, if you can, increase the amount you give away. It doesn't have to be money, it can be time, help, service. But if it is money, give more than you're comfortable giving. Why? Because giving breaks the grip of fear. Fear says, hold on, there's not enough. Giving says, there is more than enough. And it flows through me. That frequency shift is devastating to the entity. I've seen people break decades-long patterns by committing to giving 10% of every dollar they earn during their 21-day fast. Not because the giving itself is magical, but because the act of giving when you're afraid proves to your own spirit that you trust the source more than you fear the lack. Now let me warn you about what's coming. The first 3 days will feel like nothing is happening. You'll think, this is easy, I can do this. Days 4 through 7 are the danger zone. You will be tested. Something will go wrong. A bill will come. A client will cancel. Someone will say something that triggers you. And every fiber of your being will want to complain, to panic, to vent. Do not break. This is the leech fighting for its life. It's creating chaos to force you to feed it. If you cave, you reset. You go back to day 1. If you hold the line, the attacks will weaken. Days 8 through 14, you'll feel the shift. Things will start to stabilize. You'll notice small wins. Unexpected money, opportunities, doors opening. Don't celebrate too early. Stay disciplined. Days 15 through 21, you'll start to feel free. The weight you didn't even know you were carrying will lift. Your mind will be clearer, your energy will be higher, and your finances will begin to reflect the new frequency. By day 21, if you've executed this protocol with precision, the leech will be gone, and for the first time in years, maybe in your entire life, you will experience what it feels like to earn and keep, to build and sustain, to prosper without sabotage. But here's the critical part. You cannot go back to the old pattern. If you do, the leech will return, and the second time it will be harder to remove because it knows your tricks. This is not a one-time fix. This is a lifestyle change. You are learning to live at a different frequency, and once you've tasted freedom, you'll never want to go back. So let me ask you, are you ready to do this? Are you ready to stop being a victim and start being a warrior? Are you ready to take full responsibility for the frequency you emit and the forces you attract. If you are, then tonight before you sleep, you complete step 1. Write down the food. Name it. See it clearly. Tomorrow morning, you begin the fast. 21 days. No excuses. No compromises. And when you complete it, I want you to come back to this video and leave a comment. Tell me what shifted. Tell me what broke. Because your testimony will give someone else the courage to fight. We're building an army of people who refuse to be drained anymore. People who understand that wealth is not just about money, it's about frequency, and that when you master your inner world, your outer world has no choice but to follow. If you want to go deeper into these principles, I teach a full course on the spiritual laws of wealth. It's called the Ancient Wealth Code, and it's based on thousands of years of mystical wisdom that the modern world has forgotten. The link is in the description. We open enrollment only a few times a year, and when we do, it fills up fast. If you're serious about breaking every financial curse and stepping into the abundance that's been waiting for you, that's where you go next. But even if you don't join the course, execute this protocol. The information I just gave you is enough to change your life if you actually do it. Most people won't. Most people will watch this video, nod along, and do nothing. They'll go back to complaining tomorrow. They'll go back to feeding the leech. And 5 years from now, they'll still be wondering why nothing changes. Don't be most people. You were chosen to see this video. Out of millions of people online right now, you're the one watching this. That's not an accident. You were meant to receive this information at this exact moment in your life. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you dismiss it as too strange, too spiritual, too difficult? Or will you recognize it as the answer you've been searching for? The explanation for the pattern that has tormented you for years? You are not a victim. You are a soul made in the image of the Creator. You have dominion. You have authority. You have the power to shift frequency and change reality. But power without action is useless. So act. Today. Now. Stop feeding the leech. Start starving it. And watch your life transform. If this message resonated with you, if you felt the truth of it in your spirit, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. Because what I'm teaching here is not available anywhere else. This is ancient wisdom, delivered in modern language, for people who are ready to stop playing victim and start playing warrior. Welcome to the army. Shalom, my friend. Until next time.